Hi, everybody. It's Jess. So, today I'm going to be talking to you guys about adapting to grad school as a new student, and kind of I guess, giving you guys my experiences and some tips I have for you all for those that are getting ready to jump into grad school and move to a new city and all of that. And I'm going to kind of be talking to you from in a sense of a master's perspective and a PhD perspective. Pardon my nails, quarantine, can't get them done, so it is what it is. But anyways, so let me put my jacket on real quick. But yeah, so I'm kind of going to be giving you my advice about like the new environment you're in, and kind of how to make friends, and then adjusting to classes and kind of how to do that, because grad school, it's a different ball game. You know what I mean? When you're going to a sorry, when you're adjusting to a new program and all of that stuff, like it's a different ball game. So I kind of wanted to just give you guys some of my tips for it, and kind of what to do with that and everything. And then also like juggling relationships, prior relationships that you already have before getting into grad school and moving to the new city that you're in. So the first thing I guess I'm going to talk to you guys about is like the new environment type of thing. So like I said, I'm gonna talk to you in a sense of a master's and PhD. So from the master's, that was like a completely different ball game for me. It was my first time moving out the house. I was 23. I was super excited. So what happened was like when I got in, everything kind of moved very quick to me. Like I got in, and then I ended up having to, I got my GA like right then and there too. So everything kind of like moved quickly, but it was like all within a month where I had to like make sure I like get up and move and all this other stuff. So what I ended up doing was me and my dad went up to Springfield because I went to Missouri State University, and we went to Springfield and we just kind of took a look around and saw like what apartments were there and all of that. And I don't know why, like I had some like laid out, but the weirdest thing is that I just ended up choosing an apartment that wasn't even on my list, but that was like right across the street from the school. Like it was walking distance, and literally only found this on a limb because I was just driving in some neighborhood and I was like, oh, let's check this out, because all utilities were included, internet was included, cable was included. It was crazy. And Springfield's a small town, so it wasn't like it was like in a hood area or anything. It was in a good area and it's literally walking distance. And that was my first place I looked at. And I chose that one, but I still looked at other places before choosing that. But that kind of just all worked out very smoothly for me. And that's I'm going to like suggest that if you do move to a new school, like you're moving to a new state and everything, I'm 100% going to suggest you find a place that's close to you, like close to your school. Because also, like what I was thinking in my mind was like, what if I have car issues? There's nobody here that can help me out. Like I don't have my family. It's not like I'm balling in money to just get it fixed like that. So I didn't want that to be an issue for me. I want it to be like, if I have to walk to school, I'll be able to walk to school. So if that is an option available to you, I'm going to 100% encourage you to take it. I know some people like that were in my cohort, they also did that. So that ended up working out really well for me in a sense. And that's kind of my big advice in regard to that. As far as like my PhD and moving and finding a place, that was a little bit more intense. I did ask some people about the St. Louis area. I'm at St. Louis University, for those of you who don't know. But yeah, that was a little different. I kind of had to like do a lot of driving around and figuring things out. And it was also the things of like money. And then I wasn't as fortunate to get a place like, walking distance to my school, but that was okay because where I am now, actually in St. Louis, where I am, it's like literally like a drive, like it's like a 5 to 7 minute drive. So it's not that bad. And if something was like, God forbid, something happened to my car, I felt a lot more easier, like taking that risk, because first of all, Firestone is like my primary car person. They're like right up the street from me. And then second of all, I make a little bit more money on a stipend at St. Louis University. So I was like, I can handle this. Like, this is okay. So that worked out fine. I actually love where I live. I live in a condo, and it's very nice. My landlord's very nice. And I think this place I found was the second place I looked at. But the reason why I chose it was because, in bigger cities, for those of you going to bigger cities, like you got to think about parking, you got to think about all of that. And I was like, okay, I need a place that, my car is going to be secure. I don't have to, because like car thievery in St. Louis is pretty big. So I would also suggest you kind of look that up too when you're moving to a new place. Like what is it like out here? Like what's big, what's not, type of thing. So that was something I had to take into account. But it had a little garage accompanying where I'm at. So I like it. I like where I'm at there. And I would, when I suggest for you guys, when you are looking for your new place, to kind of just do some research on it and all of that. Don't just hop into something because like, oh yeah, because there's always better options. I mean, I don't pay a whole lot for my place in comparison to some people of my cohort that they pay for their place. But that I don't know if that's like a thing where people have to look, you just got to look a little bit more. So that's kind of what that was. So that's kind of it, like as far as like moving and finding a place. The next thing I want to talk about is making friends. This was a little, this can be a little tricky, especially in grad school. So for me, in my master's program at Springfield, it's not really that diverse in a sense. Like it's kind of a very it's a predominantly white area, which there's nothing wrong with that, but that's just what predominantly is. And so when I went there, I was kind of like I don't know, I was just kind of like, what am I gonna do? So I did make friends with some of my cohort mates, and that was kind of cool. Like we had a cohort of 15. It was our largest cohort. So I mean, obviously get to know your cohort and spend time and hang out with them. And that was nice because we were so tight in our cohort, not individual relationships, but I'm saying like we took all our classes together and everything. So we were able to kind of just go through that motion together. And when we have issues, it's really important that you have, especially during quarantine, it's something I realized how much I do need my classmates when I'm doing school and all of that, because it's kind of like you can talk to them about certain things that you can't really talk to other people about, like in your families. If your family hasn't gone through a PhD program, it's kind of hard to talk to them about like, oh yeah, I got this, that, and the third. And it's really kind of stressing me out and all this other stuff. But when you talk to your classmates, it's like they understand, like because they're going through the same thing. And it's kind of like a weight off your shoulder in a sense. At least it's kind of therapeutic for me. So, making friends with your classmates and your cohort, that's really important and something you should definitely try to do. I'm not saying you have to be like best friends, but you should definitely like get to know them in a way and kind of create some sort of relationship there. But for me, like that's kind of where I left it at when I come to school. Like at least in my master's program, I got to know some of my cohort classmates, and like it was kind of a cool vibe there. I also got to know people outside. Like I said, there wasn't really a lot of people, a lot of people like that had shared similar interests to me when I was in Missouri State. So I was fortunate. I found like kind of my tribe, and there were other like students in the different parts of the different programs. Like one of my friends was in clinical psychology, and we kind of got close for a time. So that was really cool, and that was really, needed for me. So I really appreciated that. But at St. Louis University, it's been a little different. St. Louis University, it's been a situation where I've kind of had to go out and like actively find new friends. And I've been so blessed. Like, I'm glad I was in that situation. That's not to say like I don't like me and my classmates are friends. I am friends with them. But as far as there are different interests on what you take on outside of school. So not everybody is going to share the same interests with you when you're in a grad program. Like everybody's different. Everybody has their own interests, and that's just what it is. So kind of what I did to get myself started on that path of meeting new people outside was like I downloaded Bumble, and I do the Bumble BFF. You guys, I love that app. Like I don't even like, even if it's not grad school, if you're even in your hometown and you need to like meet friends and get close to some people, because you need girlfriends, you need boyfriends, like you need people around you, you need that. And I loved it. Like I had like the time of my life with one of my friends that I met on there, and we're still friends to this day. Like she ended up moving back to Baltimore, and that's cool. But like it's cool. Like you meet like some great people, and I've met like a few other people, and then through those people you meet other people, and you kind of become friends with them, and it's nice, because then you're kind of developing some sort of social life, and you can kind of go out when you got time and hang out, and it's nice. So I would always suggest those type of apps come in handy. Getting to know those people, it just kind of becomes like a ball rolling type of thing. I did know people prior to moving in St. Louis. I didn't know a lot of people. I knew some people from my master's program that I met at Missouri State University, and they kind of all like, it was weird. Like a lot of people ended up moving to St. Louis, like kind of all at the same time. But those were majority guys. Like I had a lot of guy friends, but they ended up, two of my guy friends ended up moving to Dallas. And then one of my guy friends lives out there, but we kind of just on different paths. And one of my friends, he kind of has drifted off. Like it's weird, like, cause like, it's so weird cause at Missouri State University, we're all kind of cool, but now like we're at St. Louis University, it's kind of like we don't all hang out anymore. So that's just how it goes. But that's neither here nor there. That's just something to keep in mind. Like just because you know somebody there, it doesn't necessarily it's gonna pan out that way, but it's still good. Like when you're first meeting to kind of get your feet wet and ask them questions about the area and kind of what to do and such. So yeah, so the friend thing you can handle. Just kind of get on some apps. Like you got to put yourself out there in a sense. And also I would recommend going to clubs and bars. Like if you're into that type of scene, go to those alone. I went to a club by myself before. I've been to a club by myself a few times. I went one time and I met this girl. I met these two chicks actually, and it was like really cool. Like I'm still cool with like one of the chicks. Like we hang out, like it's kind of like a thing. So, get to know, like just go out and just put yourself out there. That's really all you can do as far as like being friends. You just got to put yourself out there and show them your personality. And that's kind of how that goes. You got to keep a balance. I would tell them like the people that I hang out with, that I'm cool with, if I can't go out, like they understand. It's not like a thing like, oh my God, like, like you kind of tell them where you're at. Like, and a lot of times, like the people I've met, they tend to be on the same path, like where they're taking care of their stuff and you know what I mean? Like they're still in school too. So they understand how it's going in a sense. So yeah, that's really cool. Adjusting the class. My number one tip, and these are just classes in general. My number one tip is always going to be time management. You need that. If it's not something you have now, you need to start on it now, because that's going to be something that's really going to help you succeed in your grad programs. If you don't have time management skills, you're gonna struggle a little bit, because deadlines sneak up on you. They seem so far away, but the next thing you know it, they're right there. And I fell victim to this, not managing my time properly, but now, majority of the time I do. But I'm just saying, like, keep that in mind. Like always, set a goal, have your schedule, have a planner, have a calendar, like write down exactly what you're going to do this day and get that done, or do as much as you can to get that done. But please be sure, like time management is so important in classes. Also, I would say like another tip for, being a new student in your grad classes, get to know your professors. You don't, just because they're not your advisor doesn't mean you can't necessarily click with them. Like, obviously you have to respect your professors. Like I think that comes naturally, but get to know them in a sense if you can. Like if you have that opportunity to kind of talk to them, I would use, like if you're in their class, I would obviously use that one-on-one time that they have and go and visit their classes and their office hours. And if you are struggling, obviously you need to talk to them. You need to tell them, like, professors are normally very open to helping. That's kind of what they're there for. They're there to teach you, like to show you how to do things. And talking to them is going to be very beneficial for you. And also talking to your advisor. I know everybody's advisor is different. I've heard stories where some advisors have been like, if you come to me and you're stressed out, like let me know. And some advisors will just say, I'm sorry to hear that type of thing. But I mean, if you have the opportunity, if you have an advisor that genuinely cares, talk to them. Don't keep things to yourself. Like if there's something that's really bothering you, or if you have a health issue, a family issue, like you need to let them know. Like that's something you talk about. You don't have to give them all the details, but it's something that is good for you, because they can vouch for you. Like, because a lot of times professors have faculty meetings, and if you're being very weak in one class, that professor, that they're making a complaint about you, your advisor could say, well, this, there's a lot of things going on with her right now, and that can kind of help you guys. So just talk to them, talk to people. Like that's really, really important. Okay. That's my number one tip: time management and getting to know your professors and talking to your advisors and letting them know what's going on in your life. Okay. The next thing I said I was going to talk to you guys about is juggling relationships. And this is more so prior relationships before you came into the program. I truly believe this is really important. If you are close to your family, I think you should keep in contact with your family. I mean, obviously, you have to make time for that type of stuff. My family, like my mother, my sister, my dad, like they call me a few times. I hear from them at least, probably 5 times out of the week, and probably more than that. That's at least. And it's really important to like make time for those relationships. I understand sometimes when you get busy, and I tell them this. I'm like, look, I got this, that, and the third going on. Like, I can't really talk right now. I'll call you when I don't. Or if I don't answer a few times, I explain that's why I'm not answering. It's not like I'm ignoring them. And a lot of times, like my family is very understanding of that. They know what I'm doing. I know some families aren't. And if your family isn't understanding of what it is you're trying to do, you just gonna have to you gonna have to like do what you got to do anyway, and then they just gonna have to deal with it at one point. That's just what you got to do, like, because you got to put yourself first and do what you got to do. I guess I'll tell you something a little bit personal that happened to me while I was in my master's program. One of my brothers got into some really deep trouble, and that was a really hard time to juggle with that, because I'm dealing a lot with my mom, because that situation had happened before with another brother with me. And so yeah, it was starting all over again. But last time I was able to kind of help with that situation and be there for my brother, but also be there for my mother and all of that. But this time I wasn't, and I had to prioritize myself. Like there was no way. I was 4 hours away. There was no way I can keep going back and forth there. And I mean, I guess like my brother, he got locked up. So that was a very like big thing. And I wasn't able to like go see him like I wanted to at least show him like your family still loves him. I wasn't able to do that. And that's just what it is. Like that stuff happens, like life happens while you're in grad school. Some people, God forbid, some people deal with health issues, like all of that. And you kind of got to know, like, you kind of got to stick with what you have. Like, I think because this program you're going through grad school, this is ultimately going to help you in the long run and to help them later on. But you gotta take care of yourself first. You can't just drop because something around you in your family, far away, something has happened. But I know that's hard for some people to do. But I will always suggest, like, if you can, like, just do it for you. Like, do it for you. Like, finish for you. Do what you got to do. Like, 100% do that, because that is tough. I know I dealt with it. But I just had to keep going, like, and it's stressful. Like, it adds stress to you. Like, I'm getting phone calls from, like, a million different people about what's going on. And I'm just like, I can't do it. Like, I legit have a paper due tomorrow. Like, I got to finish this, So, yeah, if I'm just always going to, you guys just keep it on yourself. Keep your interest on yourself. Do it. Always put yourself first. In grad school, that's my number one piece of advice. Always put yourself first. Even in life in general, you should be always putting yourself first. But especially here, put yourself first. And also, with intimate relationships. So my master's and PhD program, they've kind of had I've had two different situations happen. In my master's program, I actually got in there and I was in a relationship, and we ended up doing long distance for like the 2 years. And that was a lot. I think if you're going to do long distance, especially in a grad program, your relationship has to be solid. Like, it has to be. My relationship was not solid. We didn't really communicate like that. And it was more so on me. I couldn't, and I told the guy, I was like, this is my number one priority. This is what I got to do. If we can stay doing this if you want to, but if you don't, like, that's okay too. But he wanted to, and I was fine with it too, but we weren't able to talk, and it kind of just dwindled down. And ironically, after I graduate, is like literally like a month later after I graduate, we break up. So it was weird. And I ended up moving to St. Louis, and I'm single, like, in St. Louis, And so, like, I mean, it's been pretty fun because Missouri State was small. Missouri State was small. So it was like, I guess I'm not really missing nothing, because a lot of people kind of just deal with each other there. But at St. Louis, like, it's a bigger city. So you can kind of just meet like a whole lot of people. And I met so many different types of people. I mean, I really and thoroughly enjoyed the dating process, like getting to know, because I just like getting to know people in general. So like just getting to know different people and their backgrounds, and it's a lot more diverse, like a lot of different types of people there. So that was a lot of fun for me. But you'll get settled. I mean, if you're going to do a relationship, I think just always keep yourself first in the relationship, letting your partner know where your mind is on it. Like, you got to finish this, you got to do this. A lot of times partners are very supportive, but there are some partners out there who aren't. And so you kind of got to see, what that is and who that is in your situation. Sometimes you got to say bye to people. That's just what it is. And that kind of opens doors to other people and new people and better people for you. So yeah, I would suggest that. But yeah, eventually you'll get settled and you'll have a lot of fun exploring your city and getting to know the different people. And just getting to know the city in general. Like just, you know, just do things by yourself. Go out, learn about the history of the city, because you're only going to be there for a limited time unless you choose to stay there. But it's a time in your life where you can kind of, you know, just get to know new things and everything. But I have been rambling for about 20 minutes now. So if there are any questions or anything like that, I'm going to go ahead and end this live. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope this video helps you. And yeah, I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.